Hey, John.
Hey, what's up?
Yo.
What's up?
What's up, guys?
What's going on, man?
Okay, I got a question.
Living the dream.
I got a question. Is it John
Shoot.
Paul or John?
If I'm in trouble with my mother, it's Johnpaul. Otherwise, John is just fine.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to another episode of 5 Idiots Talking Toys. I'm Shane, and we're here with our regular podcast episode. We're excited because we have a special guest joining us tonight, so thanks very much for being here. I think a lot of the collectors who we know in the hobby, friends of the show and friends of ours, will be familiar with our guests, so that'll be exciting. We're here on Sunday nights on YouTube. You may be listening on your favorite podcast app. We appreciate that as well, but please go over to our YouTube channel. You can get there by going to 5idiotstalkingtoys.com. That'll get you all of our links. Subscribe, like, and comment on the video. We'd love to chat with you. Let's bring the boys in now. Let's see, who's going to be first? Charles looks like he's ready. Where did you get that? From the merch shop?
I did, Shane. It is
Wow.
a top-notch cup.
All right.
Mug. Thermos.
Travel container.
There you go.
Okay. 5idiotstalkingtoys.com will get you to our merch shop as well. And you can also see some of the merch down below. Down below, you'll see some links. Let's bring in Brandon. What's up, Brandon?
Hi.
You look like you've never done this before. You're very surprised. All right.
We've never started an episode like this.
I
love
know,
this.
it's fun.
I love this.
It's fun. I like this too. All right, let's bring in Christopher. There he is.
Oh, see, the big screen wasn't on his face.
Normal, calm, cool, collective. That's it.
Well, I'd have to take, let's see, I'll take Charles off. There he is. All right. We gave him a second of screen time, and now we're going to bring in Lord Walden. What's up, Johnny?
Hey, John.
Good evening.
Hello, Johnny.
All right, here we go.
So for those of you who are
Here's
out
Johnny.
there watching and listening, John informed us that if you're friends with him, he goes by
Childhood
Johnny.
friends.
Childhood friend.
Childhood friends.
Oh, I thought you were going to say good friends.
Childhood friends.
So we don't qualify.
No, we're acquaintances to him.
Right. We're co-workers.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think it's gone deeper than acquaintances.
Yeah, it has.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, fortunately.
Unfortunately.
We should actually have like an update. So I think John still hates Shane, and I think he still hates me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Depends on
Brandon never hates any of us, as far as we know.
John
he's-
never hates Brandon, ever.
No, and Brandon doesn's hate
Why
us
would
because
I?
he's out and about.
Yeah.
And Chris hates us this week, all of us.
Yeah.
Me
I hate it.
especially.
I hated you guys today, that's for sure. Yeah.
Well,
And
this
it
is his
wasn't even my
second,
fault. I wasn't even around.
this
was
is
mainly-
his second podcast of the day.
It was mainly Brandon, actually. Because I'm trying to do a podcast and my phone keeps going off with him talking the whole time.
So you were
and
on.
then your brother piles on with it too.
Yeah, I know.
I didn't know what was going on. I had no clue.
But you saw the talking and you decided to pile on.
Yes.
Correct. Correct. So you were on with the Action Figure Grader today, is that right?
Yeah, I was on John's show today celebrating his 5,000 members on YouTube.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Boss Bounty was on, Blacked Out Ewoks, and Keith Guppy, who's like one of the biggest Star Wars collections in the UK. So it was a fun time. It was nice to see his collection.
I saw it. It was big.
Huge.
Yeah.
Very large.
So big. Really big.
Huge.
Huge.
I got to go back and watch. the video.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Check it out. Cool. So guys, we have a guest tonight. Let's go ahead and move the show along. Our guest is waiting in the green room, in the 5 Idiots Talking
Green.
Toys green room.
I'm excited about this guest.
Yeah.
Me too.
Charles has stocked up the green room with Late July, Bella Vitas, and
Amp
What
Salt
else
Lights.
does he? What else does he like? Starburst or something? What else?
No,
Tea.
Skittles.
what? No,
Tea.
Mike's hard lemonades.
Well, I'll throw a little teaser out there. Next Wins and Whiffs after this show airs.
Mm-hmm.
New snack.
Ooh,
Oh.
folks, tune in. That's all I can say is tune in for that. Nobody cares about our wins or our whiffs. They
No.
only care about Charles's snacks.
That's it.
That's
Yeah.
the best. All right, guys, let's bring in our guest. You know him, even if you don't know him, I'm going to dare to say, because you've been to a website that he's created that's been around for a long time. It's a big part of the vintage Star Wars collecting hobby. Johnpaul Ragusa is here tonight. John, how are you?
I got to go. These idiots, they left me Skittles and Mike's Hard Lemonade. What the fuck? Oh, hey, guys, what's going on? How are you?
What's up, man?
I'm sorry. Did we
That's
not
an intro.
Did we not satisfy your rider? Did we not satisfy your rider? I'm sorry.
You were
I'm a
supposed to
rider.
remove
You
all
got to
the
pick out
green
the green
Skittles.
M&Ms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's get John front and center, and let's swap him out with Johnny.
There you go. That's better.
Oh, you see, Johnny can't get this straight. Is got sugar-free Red Bulls in his green room. So
Yeah.
there you go. All right,
Fancy.
so welcome to the show. Thanks very
come to
much
my
for.
green room.
Oh my, it's a brown room full of whiskey. Thanks very much for being here. Thanks for being generous with your time, joining us on a Sunday night. Appreciate it.
Yes.
I appreciate you having me on.
So before I've ever, heard you speak or had any contact with you, I mean, I've been on Imperial Gunnery 500 times, maybe.
At least.
So
At least.
yeah, so I mean, we see your name on top of that website, so we knew your name. I found you by chance, not a crazy chance, but you were doing a whatnot sale. You were doing a live sale from the shop.
Yeah. And first of all, before I say like one word, I'm very lucky that I get the masthead and it says like Johnpaul Ragusa presents. But right off the bat, I do this all the time. That site is just barely because I exist. Like you ever watch Big Bang Theory? They have the joke that if you took Indiana Jones out of Raiders, the movie ends the exact same way. Have you guys ever heard that?
I've heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that.
So like if you took me out of the gunnery, it would be probably just as awesome, if not better. So I do want to say that, like, as much as I'm very blessed to kind of be the name that's associated with it, it only works because there's like guys, and there have been so many through the years that have really contributed. I mean, going all the way back to its inception, guys like Jay Henderson and Wolf, up to like lately, like James Kennison, Stefan. So I just want to acknowledge that, like that, I get a lot of credit for that site. That's completely not deserved as a sole proprietor. Like it's a team of people who really worked hard over the years and, built it up into, I'm very proud to say kind of like I don't want to call it like the global resource, but I think a lot of people sort of default to it.
Yeah.
Over the years. Like we're closing in on, I think, 900,000 unique visitors since its inception.
Oh, wow.
Like that's kind of amazing to me to think that many people have like kind of trusted us as a knowledge resource to do it. But I want to make sure I thank all those guys, like I said, James, Paul, Stefan, over the years, guys like Wolf, Chris, Marco. There's been so many people who have made that site everything that it is. So I'm proud of it. I'm proud to be its current caretaker. But to say like it's mine is sort of probably a little bit of a misnomer. By little misnomer, I mean flagrant lie. So we'll just kind of keep it like that.
I love the website. I use it every single
As far
day.
as Whatnot, though, that's all me being mildly entertaining. I found that Whatnot is a great place where, like, somehow the meaner you are to people, the more viewers you get. Like, so I've had some of the most amazing luck by just being a horrible, insulting person. I don't know which. I now have to put a sign in the background that says "You'll be insulted," because I've had people like lose their mind being insulted, not realizing that it's just part of the shtick.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of fun, though.
I was thoroughly entertained, and I know Charles is a big Whatnot viewer. I'm not even, I've bought up a bunch of stuff, on sales, and Charles, you bought a little bit at least, but
Oh yeah,
if you get somebody who's entertaining, you know, having a little cocktail or in a toy shop where there's lots of stuff and has some personality, I end up sitting there with my TV paused. I'm in the middle of a movie and watch Whatnot for 2 hours. It's ridiculous.
100%. It's, you know, you got to be, you could be like literally like a John Astor level businessman, but you need to be that P.T. Barnum sort of entertainer. Yeah. And I find the times where I'm usually like the most kind of loose and just kind of free flowing. I play music, I'm cracking jokes. Again, I'm horribly insulting to some people. But yeah, like it keeps you gravitating towards it. Like I've been asking Whatnot for a long time. Like they need to give us metrics on how long our viewership is, how long people stay, you know, and sometimes, you know, because you want to know if I'm losing people, I can start changing sort of my format to figure out, okay, this is where the people are sticking around and, you know, morph into that type of a show. But I don't think they have the intelligence in their system yet to kind of do that. But I'm hoping that they do, because like it or not, it's becoming it's kind of becoming like a pseudo content creator channel. It's not just having stuff. It's having stuff along with, you know, it's dinner and a show.
Yeah. One thing I discovered the other day, which I don't know if this is a newer feature or if I just never noticed it, but when you're on there, there's a little tab up in the top, sort of up in the top right corner. And it says like browse or something like that. You hit that, and then there's a sidebar with current sales that are like in the categories you like.
Yeah, I think that's new. I know.
Once you click on one of those, I was going to say, it then changes the interface, and you can swipe up and down and go between sales, which is maybe, I'm sorry to say, maybe that you don't want your people doing that, but it actually is good, I think, for the sellers as well, because rather than closing out, I can flip in 5 seconds and see if there's anything I like, and then go back to the sale that I'm really enjoying.
Absolutely. So, and let me tell you something. You would think that I wouldn't like something like that. I have no problem with something like that. If I always kind of say that if you're good at what you do, you're not intimidated by anyone else, and you're certainly not worried about other people. You just do the best show you can, and that's that. So you know what? I feel confident enough that I'll gain more people migrating over than I'm going to net lose people leaving me. And, you know, that's not an arrogance thing. That's just a confidence thing. So, you know what? Yeah. Like things like that, I got no problem with it. Like it's never, I know a lot of people who would be like sort of hyper focused on, oh my God, I'm going to lose my audience. If you're doing well, you're not going to lose anybody. If anything, you have everything to gain. So everyone should just be a little bit cockier and, you know, confident in their ability, and they'll do fine.
What is your, what's your name on there?
Everything is the Imperial Castle, the name of the shop.
Oh, okay.
Like perhaps right there. Subtle. Yeah, I do everything. Like, it's just like, I think you do whatnot.com. And then if you do the @ the Imperial Castle, that's my Whatnot. It's also my Instagram, my Facebook, my TikTok. Like everything we do in the shop is all completely branded identically under as the Imperial Castle. It makes the uniformity thing a lot easier. Like I never understood people who use different tags. Like it's confusing. The only thing that I have different is eBay, because you can't put spaces. So my eBay is the _Imperial_Castle.
We have a funny story. We have a quick funny story that maybe some of our listeners would like. We have this stupid podcast, and I think Charles, you're the one who threw out a suggestion way back when. Let's just call ourselves idiots talking toys. And we immediately all said, yes, that's the winner, because it's so dumb. And then, you know, fast forward a couple of months into the show, and we said, let's make a sales page so that people can kind of hang out with us there, not just watch videos, but hang out. We'll put stuff up for sale. We'll do some live sales. And the sentiment amongst the five of us was, we can't have a sales page where we're selling valuable items and call it the 5 idiots selling toys or whatever it is.
Oh my God, I completely disagree. Yeah. I'm so glad I wasn't on that call. I would have leaned into that pitch like you could not imagine. I think stuff like that is outstanding. Outstanding.
We wanted to call it.
It's like, because you know what someone's going to say? They have to be good to do that.
Right.
It was like, I'll tell you what. I had Chinese food once on City Island. Now, you guys, I don't know how many of you guys, you're all New York or Jersey, right?
3 of us. 2
Where are
Long
the other
Island,
2?
1
Where are you guys?
Jersey.
Long
Georgia.
Island. Long Island.
California.
All right. So we all know what City Island is, yeah?
Where is
No.
that? Just tell it.
I
Like,
know.
Not even guys from New York.
Wow. I thought it was
area?
like a thing. So City Island is in the Bronx.
okay,
And
that's where I was
it's
today.
a little island that has all seafood restaurants.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
And I went there and had Chinese food once. My old man took me. We went there for lunch, and my father was like, "Why don't we try this Chinese place?" And my brother and I were like, why the hell are we going to get Chinese on a place known for just doing seafood? And he's like, if they have a Chinese restaurant here, how good is that food got to be? Because they're hanging out with 500 seafood restaurants.
Yeah.
And you know what? He was right. I had shrimp and broccoli. It was fantastic.
Well, see, this is what John keeps saying, because we keep saying the same thing. Like, who the hell goes to Georgia and gets pizza?
Yeah.
And he says it's the best pizza in the world.
No way.
That's the ramblings of a madman.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No way.
You're going to find out that you're going to find out that, like, as a kid, you went like swimming in Honduras and like an amoeba went in your eye, migrated to your brain, and like kind of just messed up like your taste buds. And now like bad things taste delicious. Like that makes no sense.
Here's how you know it's bad. You know it's bad because he makes his own pizza.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's how bad it's so bad he can't even buy it. He has to make it himself.
it's not delivery. It's DeJohnny.
I also make it in the backyard
Johnny.
in a wood-fired pizza oven. So yeah, it's good stuff. I mean,
Oh, that's great.
you guys have heard of
Papa John's? Yeah.
Papa John's, I think.
Yeah.
Papa
Yeah.
Johnny's.
Papa John's is to pizza what Dr. Pepper is to open heart surgery. All right. Or Dr. J or any other kind of like,
Well, I just want to jump back to Imperial Gunnery.
where are we talking about toys?
Yeah, we were talking about toys. You know, you said you're just hitting 900,000 unique visits, and
Yeah.
I mean, congratulations on that. Now, just to let you know, one of our recent episodes is over 300 views right now. Okay,
Wow.
so
That's
you're in good
well,
company.
remember, I'm doing pages. It's like dog years. So
Yeah.
views to dog years, you're probably at like 400. So congratulations.
I got a question for you. So why did you start the Imperial Gunnery?
Well, actually, funny enough, I didn't start it. I am the second owner. So back in the forum days, there was a website called SithNet, and it had the Jawas Armory. And I have no idea to this day who built that site. It's kind of it was just always there. It was like the end of the movie Contact when they're like, who built this? Like, it was here when we got here. Like, so I never, ever remember a time when the armory didn't exist. I think the guy who put it together like in the late 90s. Like, it looked like something you built in like Netscape. And around 2000, I think 9 or 10, this guy, Jay Henderson, was like, no one's ever updated this site. No one knows who built it. Oh, we're going to make a better one. And he started building it. And I think it went online in 2009. In 2010, roughly, I got asked to be a moderator because there was a forum that goes with it. So there's Imperial Gunnery and then there's Imperial Gunnery Forum. I became a moderator on that forum and then became an administrator. And then me and a guy named Chris Botkins started kind of doing the day-to-day because Jay found a girl. No more complicated than that. He found a woman that he really seemed to enjoy her company, and Star Wars sort of, took a back seat. And after like, I don't know, I'd probably say close to almost a year of absence, we kind of like forced his hand. And we're like, Jay, like, you need to either be involved or get out. Like, the site bills weren't paid for the hosting. And, we were having problems with like technical stuff that we couldn't even see because we didn't have the, what they call the founder account. And Jay and I had a conversation. We agreed on a transition. I bought the site from him for, a probably like a pittance because it doesn't generate any revenue. Like the gunnery makes no money and loses money every year. Like it is literally just something we do to be a friend of the hobby. Like we don't make anything on it. We don't advertise. We refuse to associate with anybody because we don't want there to be any kind of like possible, you know how collectors get with conspiracy theories. And so like we don't advertise. We won't take an advertisement. We won't sit on anybody's admins and boards. And like we stay away from it and we just do our thing. So I took over in 2012 from Jay. And that's been it. So I've owned it 11 out of its 13 years of existence.
Okay. So he found a woman and that was it.
Sorry, guys. I gotta see about a girl.
I gotta go see about a girl?
Yeah.
That's what you said? I had. And they let you get away with that?
That was really, yeah. I wish the story was like a better one, but there's literally nothing more to the story.
We're all kind of getting tired of Star Wars lately, so we're kind of looking for a woman as well. Maybe that gives us a good excuse to take a break. So hopefully,
I am the last guy to give you advice. I'll be married 24 years. So the last time I dated, Millennium was an up and coming song on the charts, and we can see where Will Smith's gone since then. So maybe I'm not the guy for this one.
So talk to us about, the last couple of, obviously we just went through a pandemic and it's been a little bit time now, but there was, for sure a big boon amongst especially all sorts of collecting, but especially for us vintage Star Wars. I'm sure the site got a lot of activity in the last few years, but talk to us about what's been going on there. Is it getting any kind of updates periodically? Are you doing much there these days?
So that's a great question. And yeah, I mean, our site traffic really did increase during COVID. So we've been cognizant of it. Updates have been really hard, to be honest with you. A couple of reasons. I mean, number one, and this is in no particular either order or don't read any kind of don't read anything into it. I kind of just talk without filtering it out. But I think Facebook has really made repository style sites a little bit more difficult because back in the forum days, everyone loved to contribute. They didn't need credit for it. They were all doing it because it was good for the hobby to do it. That's why we ran a site that made no money. We weren't doing it for anything. We did it because we love Star Wars. We don't love people overpaying for fake merchandise. That's that. That's our whole mission statement story, the whole 9 yards, right? I feel that now, respectfully, I think people collect clout a little more than they did. And what I mean by that is everyone needs to be a chieftain. And I don't feel that the camaraderie is the way it used to be. And I can kind of say that with a little bit of evidence-based practice because a lot of the guys who were sort of the forefathers of the hobby, a lot of these guys don't participate much anymore. And it seems like every day there's a new expert on something and people want to be they kind of want to be the caretaker of that information. And it's not, I don't feel there's a collaborative spirit anymore. And I'm not saying that that's a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing because the hobby has evolution, and maybe this is the evolution is people kind of, using forums and using Facebook primarily. I mean, I don't do Twitter at all, and I don't participate really outside. I don't even know if there's other things besides Facebook, like MySpace or MeWe. Like I know they exist. I don't think there's a big presence there. I think Facebook is kind of like the central repository now for most collectors. And I think the times where they would have in the past, reached out and been like, hey man, I just found these things. I think they're fake. Can you guys check into it? Let me send you some really good pictures for the site. You don't see that much anymore. And I think that makes it a little bit harder. So we are planning to do updates this year. Our site is very thorough up to probably, there's a rash of repro weapons called Saltburns. I don't know if you guys are familiar with one of the other guys from Chris Smith, who became Stan Solo, and whatever that thing is. So like we're trying to document them. Retro series, we don't really need to because a lot of them have telltale signs. So like we would put them up there just as an informative thing. But I look at it, the way I look at it is, would my mom be fooled by this? If you can fool my mom, then that's a dangerous part of the hobby. So if it's an orange blaster, mom's not getting fooled. If it's got a different barrel burr, my mom's not getting fooled. If it can float, pass the light test, do this, do that, like to me, like I still have been a very staunch supporter of that being dangerous. And we're going to try to get ourselves up to speed as best we can with the resources that we have. Out of the 4 guys who were active, 2 of them have left the hobby. They just moved on to different things, and nothing we can really do about that. And with me kind of becoming a shop owner, so I had a real job for 17 years. I quit my job and opened a toy store, which is just as foolish as it sounds. And so, Chris and James, who is my primary admin, he works with disabled children building bicycles. I mean, it's literally like the most magnanimous line of work you could possibly want. And the 2 of us are just busy. And we've reached out to people in the community, and it's a very lukewarm response. So we're going to do the best that we can with what we can. And, I'll answer the question before anyone even asks it. I'm thrilled that there's like variant villain out there and that there are other guys with knowledge. Like everyone thinks that like I might sit at home, like, the bastards, how can I could care less. Like that was my question for you. Yeah, good. I could not be happier that other people are doing this job too. Because that's good.
Are you happy with the different nomenclature that they've chosen for all the different variants, or is that?
So you're gonna laugh. I don't even know what they are. I don't know what he refers to it as. Are you talking about like molding factories and like stuff like that?
Like a V5,
V5, M.
I could care less.
Whatever. Like
Here's where the difference is between the gunnery and other sites. And if you look at it from this perspective, it's going to make everything seem a lot more clear. My mission statement and the site's mission is to make sure that you don't buy something that's not what you think it is. Okay? Mm-hmm. I buy a gun. I'm told it's real. I want to know that it's real. Once I answer that question for you, I don't care about anything else. What these other sites do, they go into like, that came from a cater factory. That came from the Smile factory. Yeah. I don't care. I don't care.
We don't.
And that's not.
We don't care.
I mean, it sounds like you guys are nodding. So, I mean,
do you know there's a new factory that they found? It's called the Sprinkle Factory.
Yeah, Sprinkle Factory.
Sprinkle Factory. Yes,
it's actually.
I think I went there once. I paid $5, and this girl had a lot of water. Oh wait, no, that's not a good story for this podcast. But
no, and if you get a Taiwan Boba Fett.
Factory.
If you get a Taiwan Boba Fett, it's paired up with an M14 1260B from the Sprinkles factory, and that's now what it's called. So
it's a V5.
It's a long. Even I knew that one. Again, I also think this is part of the hobby's evolution. I think you can only collect 92 figures, right? Like collect all 92. And yes, I know there's more than 92 for anyone. But let's say for the sake of argument, not counting weird variations, right? You got your 92 figures. You got Yak Face, you got the 2 extra R2-D2s, you got the extra C-3PO, Vinyl Cape Jawa, and the band. Blue Snaggletooth. You round out at like 101. When you hit that plateau, I feel like over the years, like this next level of minutia has borne itself out of people's desire to just not stop collecting
and boredom with running out of things that
and I do believe that there's something to it. The other part that's just a personal thought, the research that's done on this, I know it's done as thoroughly as humanly possible with 40 and 50-year-old items. where you're looking at a fractional sampling rate. I have a lot of, like, I'm sure there's a lot of truth to what's being discovered. The problem is there's not a lot of actual proof. It's sampling. If I tell you that that's a Cater Factory blaster because I found 10 carded examples, you know they made like 200,000 of each card. It's still a fraction of a percent. And I don't know how you reconcile that except saying, okay, this is the best info we have. And if that's the case, this is the prevailing theory and we'll see if it's true or not. Problem is we'll never be able to prove or disprove any of it. So
Johnny's
it just boils down to people's belief. And again, that's not saying it isn't true, but as far as the gunnery goes and as far as my personal collecting goes, dude, I don't care. If my A-wing pilot and my Imperial gunner have a black pilot blaster, I don't give it. Got the L marking on the side.
Oh no!
I just don't. I don't care.
You're going to be removed from the hobby after this episode.
I use your website.
Wow. So I won't lose more money. Like, okay, you go. But, again, like, see, that's the thing. Is like, but see, like, that's kind of the weird way the hobby works, right? It's cultural. I personally don't see the necessity for that level of detail, but others do, and I think that's great.
I think a lot of it is personality based, right? Like,
I do too.
People's desire, but it's funny. It's so funny to me to hear you say that, and I'm only busting on you. There's so many people that don't care about that, but
we don't care. I'm
laughing when I hear you say that because your site is the reason why there's people that care. You know, so it's funny that you don't care. It's great.
But remember, I care. All I care about is that you don't get ripped off.
Yeah.
If you pay $60 for a Leia blaster, I want to make damn sure you bought a real Leia blaster. That's where my desire to help the hobby begins and ends. If you come to me and go, "Hey John, I got 9 Boba Fett's, but like I think this one's a Cater Factory, and that's a large COO. The guy sold me an M1, and it should be an M." Dude, with minor exception, I don't care. I do care for I basically care for 3 figures where there is a prevailing logic to it. I do believe and you want to Storm, if you want to get this show to get the most views ever, just publish what I'm about to say in any UK group and just watch them dogpile on me. Luke Stormtrooper is a solid black blaster. I'm sick and tired of people saying it isn't. I care on that because that's just one of those things.
Come on, but what about the tri-logo carded one?
But
tri-logo cards are the biggest joke. Tri-logo cards are the biggest joke the hobby's ever had. They were done with no QC. That's why you can buy almost every. I would actually venture a good bet that there's not a single action figure on a tri-logo card that doesn't have at least one weapon incorrection or multiple imperfections. They just threw whatever was available. It was the end of the line. Do you really think some I'll say bloke because I think they were in the UK. So you think some bloke was like, "Oh mate, this is the wrong guy." No, those were Australians. I don't do good accents. Have you ever seen the Luke poncho that's missing the Luke and only has the gun in it?
Yeah.
There's a point where they didn't care. They were either getting kind of laid off the next day, and they were like, "Whatever, just give me this shit." So I don't, I would probably say if there's a hill I'm going to die on, that might be the one. And I think too, I know this sounds a little crazy, but I do believe that people love to knock the big, whatever the prevailing theory is, people love to knock that off its perch. So
they want to be right.
I know that the UK guys love it's a UK variant. It's not a UK variant. There was no variant. They packaged it over there with whatever they had available. End of story. So unless your figure is carded, There's nothing you're going to do to make me go, well, I know. I love that. That's my favorite thing. Well, I've had this since I was a kid. And, I know that's the gun it came with. Right. So the package of figures and the Ziploc baggie that you packed in 1984, you remember every figure you... Sure you do.
I love that.
Sure you do.
Not even the
You
Ziploc
also have
baggie.
a girlfriend who's a model in Canada, too. What else? Give me a... stop it.
Not even the Ziploc
I can't remember
baggie.
what I had this morning.
The carrying case. The carrying case with all the figures in it, all mixed around.
Yeah.
Well, you
So
said
it's like, come on.
you counted out a bunch of variants, and you said there, you could get up to like 101. I just want to make sure for our viewers that nobody forgets the painted legs Maydeen, because that'll get you to 102. Painted legs,
molded legs, Han, white boots. This guy. Like again, I really do think that it's a reflection of. I do think that it's a reflection of people just. I think it's just a reflection of people wanting to continue collecting. I mean,
they don't want it to end.
You run out of things to collect, and you just. I mean, I had my own journey kind of collecting. I started with loose figures. I finished it. I went to complete figures. I finished that. I went to Polish bootlegs. Got out of that. Went to carded. Went to foreign, and then my collecting kind of became foreign carded figures. So I understand what it's like to go through an evolution when it comes to collecting. So that's why, I might joke around about it, but I don't fault anybody. The thing that I get upset about is, when you dogpile on someone because, their level of minutia didn't match your level of minutia, and you take it, as an affront. If somebody mailed me, if I bought an A-wing pilot, but the gun didn't have the L, but it's a solid black blaster, I'm not going to choke that guy and be like, you dishonest bastard. That's 90% of the world is going to say that's acceptable.
People get
and I think that's okay. You know what I mean?
Really pissed.
Oh God. The fights that I've seen behind the scenes over the years is astounding.
The drama in
it's
the hobby. The drama in the hobby
money,
is ridiculous.
And we don't own it. It's not just Star Wars, people. There's drama in just about every hobby. I mean, I've had people put pictures of my house out on the internet because I'm anti-repro. I mean, there's a lot of sick people out there.
Well, let me take a second to say, John's got a toy shop. He's sitting in a toy shop. You're seeing a fraction of a percent of his toy shop. But please go and visit his website. It's imperialcastletoyshop.com. All right. And you have a location in New York. It's kind of north of the city. I got to come over there and check it out. You and I chatted, and I'm not far from you at all. It's
you're an hour 10
50 minutes or So
yeah,
I'll have to come over and hang and check it out. But for those who are watching, if you are on Whatnot, if you use Whatnot, that's where John's doing his live sales right now. So go over there and find Imperial Castle and follow him there. I have a funny 2-second story. I popped onto your sale because, they now have a vintage Star Wars category. So I follow that. And I come on, and I didn't put 2 and 2 together with Imperial Castle. And I go on, he's got a figure there. Everything looks good. And so I shoot off the comment, are these all authentic vintage weapons? Not knowing who I was asking this to, and he just, friendly, but he just went off like, oh, I don't do any repro, stuff. Here I am asking the guy who, is running Imperial Gunnery.
No, let me tell you something.
It was really funny when I realized.
You can always, that's a kind of a funny thing. I take myself with no level of seriousness. I tell people all the time, a lot of people don't know that they don't make that connection. So I sell stuff on Facebook a lot. Do you know how many Facebook people have sent me my link? Can you double check that weapon's real before I pay you? And I'm like, yeah, sure. You know a good place? And they'll send me a link. And I'll be like, Imperial, I never heard of it. And then I'll be like, hey, do me a favor. What's the name in the upper left-hand corner? And then I'll get OMG. I guess I'll be leaving now. And I laugh because I think that's hysterical. Let me tell you something. The other part of it is I've told everybody this. Question, or as if you're not comfortable, always question it. I don't give a rat's if it's me, if it's guys who have been in the hobby 20, 30 years. kind of the way I said, if you're good at what you do, if you're not worried about people coming after you, if you're solid in how you conduct yourself, I have no problem. I've never once been insulted by someone asking me, is that real or repro? I could care less. And I'll take the time to go, no, I know this one's real. If you look at the way that the pin injection mold is here, oh, the R2-D2 saber, the EPM is in the middle, which usually matches the power of the Force. I'll take the time to explain it every single time. I have the biggest hair I get across my ass is anyone in any hobby thinking that they're any more special than anyone else in the hobby. You're not. You are not. I don't give a shit if you're the biggest name in G.I. Joe or Star Wars or Star Trek. You're just a guy. You're basically a grown man who still plays with toys. Keep perspective. Okay? Wow. Good for you. I'm glad that 200 people know who you are because your G.I. Joes are so cool. If I open that door and go out into the real world, nobody gives a nobody cares. It's the same way. It's the same way. Yes, exactly. I say it's the same way when someone who doesn't like magic watches a magic trick and then is like, oh that was my card. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. They don't care. They're just being nice. Like, I watched a guy, I won't do any names. I watched a guy do a rant about how sick and tired he was of people contacting him. And I'm like, the same guy who's trying to make a living selling toys. Oh man, everyone asks me questions and everyone comes at me. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, you did this. You want to be in the public sphere. You want your name to be associated with the hobby. Guess what? It's not that everyone's going to be there to flower you as you walk down the street and sell you their things at 40 cents on the dollar. Part of the responsibility of being in the public sphere is being a steward to whatever hobby you're in.
Yeah.
And it drives me crazy. That's like when people contact me with the gunnery or people make, like, I will answer their questions sincerely first. And then I will like I do a lot of, and I know this is like, again, part of these like philosophies. A lot of people pay me friends and family, or they pay me through Venmo, or they pay me through means that don't have seller protection. Mm-hmm. And obviously that's not everybody's bag. I don't recommend ever doing that unless it's somebody you absolutely have an implicit trust with. So let me get that out of the way. Like on deals where like we've negotiated pricing based on those kind of terms, at the last minute, they might get cold feet. And only after I've exhausted every other way of conveying that they can have trust in me, trust in my shop, trust in my brand, that's when I'll be like, listen, have you ever heard of the Imperial Gunnery? Yeah, everyone knows that site. Could you just click over there for a second and look at the name? And then it's like, oh shit, yeah, all right, I'll pay you now. Like, it gives me a lot of instant credibility, but I also respect it enough not to abuse it. Right. That's why a lot of people don't know I run the gunnery, because I don't want to be that guy who just comes in and goes like, all right, look, I'm the Imperial Gunnery, kneel before Zod now. Like, that's like, it's not impressive. When I go home and I go, hey, honey, you're married to the guy who owns the Imperial Gunnery. She goes, oh, that's very nice. Anyway, so you got to change this fixture. And the laundry we haven't done, like, shit, that's the way I look at it. Like, if my wife's not impressed, I don't believe anyone else should be remotely impressed. So, well, unless I run a successful podcast.
I appreciate that you're trying to
if I do that, that's different.
Yeah, I appreciate you're trying to keep on, keep it on the QT, but there's going to be like 300 people that now know because you're on the show.
Jig is up. Yeah,
it's up. I hate to tell you.
I don't know what I'm going to do. I might shave my beard or like get like a pair of like big like 70 sunglasses to kind of ward off people.
Where are we huge in?
Shane,
where are we huge in? What country?
Denmark.
Denmark.
Huge in Denmark.
Yeah. Huge in Denmark.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Hello.
So
most of the stuff that you sell, is it just Star Wars or like on what?
No, we do. I do everything. The shop is primarily, I'd say, Star Wars and G.I. Joe. From a vintage, my store is a little unique. Like, we actually do half this toy store is a functioning real toy store, like LOL dolls and Matchbox cars and board games and stuff like that.
New inventory.
And then the other half is vintage.
Okay.
Star Wars and G.I. Joe are probably the two biggest sellers. And GI Joe right now is kind of edging it out, but we do everything. Like I've become sort of a jack of all trades, but a master of none type of thing. Like I have a good working knowledge of a lot of toy lines that I didn't when I opened 5 years ago. And I actually really enjoy it. Like my personal collecting is almost zero now because it's so hard to compete with how much cool stuff kind of waltzes in here that like going home and like having my collection, it just doesn't, it's not the same anymore. Yeah. It's very different.
You have a transient huge collection that you get to visit every day. And we've heard that, in your shop, and we've heard that from other people as well, that it gets to the point where it's really difficult to, have a legit collection of your own when you're dealing with toys all day long. And
I got
on that level.
Local shop that I frequent, and the owner, they've been open for 7 years now, and he told me the same thing. Like he used to have a collection, and now he's just like, don't even collect anymore. He's like, the shop is my collection basically, and he's just like. He's like, I just, whatever comes in, I display. And he's like, I don't collect anymore. Like whatever I had as a collection is now gone. And it's just, he's like, I live it every day, man. I don't need to take it home with me. But he takes it home with him and sorts it all out. So he has it all over his house.
I don't do that. Like everything stays here. Yeah. I have a very fine, like I have a demarcation point. My rules are, if it comes in the store, it leaves out the store. And I rarely bring toys home with me. And if I do, they're back with me the next day. So if Ginger's my wonderful wife, if Gin is like going to bed early because she's got to get up early, and the biggest how two people could have two different lives. My wife's a board certified nurse practitioner. Brilliant. So like she's getting up at 6 a.m. to like literally keep people from dying. And then I'm like, 8:30. Woo! Let me go through my turtles. Yay! So we live very different paths. But if
you and Chris have a lot in common, it sounds like.
It's what?
You and Christopher have a lot in common, it sounds like.
Yeah, kind of.
His wife's got a serious job, and he's sorting toys on his kitchen table.
Yeah, my wife. The only good part is like I don't have a college degree, and my wife has like 3 now. So at least now I can tell the kids like, hey, your parents have 1.5 college degrees each. Like, we're smart people. But I'll generally just bring stuff home for the night. I really don't want those two paths to cross very often. Mm-hmm. So I really do I try to do as best I can with when I go home, I try to take my hat off and go to John at home mode. It's impossible. You're married to a place like this. But my personal collecting, I mean, the funny part is like when I ended my collecting from a day to day, I was collecting foreign carded Star Wars. That's all. They're impossible. So like I was already kind of at the point where if I was lucky, I bought like 1 or 2 things a year because they're just not out there.
Yeah, you don't see it.
Like I say this in the most non-ooh way. I'm not flexing, but like I have a carded vinyl Cape Jawa that's like in the back of a row of cards because it means like it's not, to me, there's no cool factor anymore compared to like an Italian carded Yoda or a Hungarian carded Boba Fett. So I was already kind of there, like where my collection was now a quality over quantity. And I had to play the long game. Like there were cards I chased for years before I had an opportunity to buy them. So like, because I think my collecting was already at that sort of length and process, it wasn't a hard transition into this. And if anything, I've learned to love toy lines that I had no interest in before. Like I knew G.I. Joe, I grew up with it. So I had Joes for like their first 4 years of existence, right? 82 to 86. I owned one Transformer as a kid, Blitzwing. And that was it. I don't know what the guy underneath me is doing. I sent you that picture privately. I didn't mean you. I mean, thank you. I'm flattered. But like, don't tell everybody.
So John tells us that we need to
expand
your collecting, not just focus on one line. So you've expanded yours.
So yeah. So I right now I do it. I do kind of do it through the shop, like you were saying. Your friend does, and but But like right now, like I'll give you an example. Like, can I turn the camera to show you something?
Yeah.
Hang on.
Absolutely.
That'd be great.
I gotta watch out. I don't have any
basement,
pants on, so
Whoa, what do you got
That
next
might
to you there?
You don't have pants on?
no, I never do. No, I'm just
Hey,
kidding.
need
I
to
want
see
to
the
just turn
basement.
around.
We need to see
All
the
right, how
basement.
do
Too.
I can't. I'll lose you guys, unfortunately.
Oh.
But if you want to see the basement, you can by watching A Toy Store Near You, Season 5, Episode 1. And I get paid like 2 cents every time you do it. So, that's a big win.
That's the
All right,
same
let's
that
see,
we get for
Cam.
each episode.
Yeah. I'm trying to see if there's a way to flip my camera, but I don't think I can. So I'm going to kind of do it this way, and I apologize.
Okay.
But like, this is just what waltzed in here before I closed today. Like,
Is that a Technodrome?
Technodrome complete in box. Some of these
there
are the
you
rarer turtles, like Doc L, Monty Moose, Anthrax, Half Court. Like, I mean, crazy, right? Then all these boxed Power Rangers, complete. These are some of the rarest Motu figures. Twistoid, the Sorceress, Ninjor, King Randor, Gwildor, Clamp Champ, Horde Trooper. These are all G.I. Joes, either unopened or graded.
Jesus.
Like,
Oh,
these
man.
are kind of things that just like, it's nuts that some of this waltzes in. Boxed G1 Transformers, they're open, but they're all complete with their inserts. I mean, like, it's crazy to think that happens. Let me just get back to here. Like, how do you compete with that on a day-to-day basis? You know what I mean?
Right. If you had your choice as a toy collector of older stuff or stuff from when we were all younger, you'd want to have all that stuff, and it's not feasible.
No.
No, it's not. Like, I'm kind of glad. I'm going to just leave my glasses on. My God, it's so much easier to see you guys now.
How do we look?
So much more
I mean, you would have to. Thank you. Like, you'd have to have an infinitely large house,
Yeah.
an infinitely large budget
Mhm.
to be able to do it. So, like, I get to do it. I just get to do it for, I get to do it for fun. And I've learned that it's people will tell you, like, oh, it's got to be hard to let things go. It's not. The way it's not is very simple. I had 2 kids in college. I got a mortgage. I got car payments. It's real easy to let stuff go when it's like, well, let me see. I can either not have my son have college debt, or I can sell that Optimus Prime. I think it's not nearly as hard as you think it is.
Yeah. Brandon does the same thing that you do. Because I mean,
No,
listen,
I do it better.
he's got limited space in that garage. We all have, a certain budget. We don't have infinite budget. So he does what you do. He just hangs out in toy stores every day. And that way he can enjoy all these collectibles.
No,
I
it's
get
like,
that.
let me tell you something. It's fun. It really, I don't even pretend. Like, people like, is it a job? It is a job. Like, it is a 100% job. But
you love
my
your job.
worst day here is better than my best day. And I loved what I did for most of my career. Like I said, I spent 17 years, in telecom, in telecom, and I actually enjoyed most of it until like the bitter end. But like, I could count my favorite days at. I worked for Nextel, which then became Sprint, which I think now is T-Mobile. My time there, my top 5 moments there are probably my bottom 5 in comparison to here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. That's good. That's good to hear that you're doing what you love and enjoying it. I mean, that's what
If
we
you
all
do what
wish
you
we
love,
could
it's
do.
not a job.
Yeah.
No, it's not. And it's crazy that it works. Like, by no objectable standard should this work. Like, I don't understand how I'm still in business. Like, I can't. People will ask me, like, hey, we're thinking of opening up a store. What do you think? I'm like, you're insane. Like, it's the stupidest idea ever. Like, don't do it.
Uh-oh, Johnny.
X the other John.
John just opened one up.
You're going to be a raging success. I can't wait.
Well,
John just opened the store.
Things. I was going to ask you a couple
Wait, did
things
you
about
really?
that anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, we opened in October.
No, wait, you're opening in October, or you opened in October?
We opened this past October.
Oh, congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, jokes aside, that's fantastic.
Yeah, we have it's a variety / vintage toy store. So my girlfriend has the variety shop. The variety's part.
When you say variety, like I don't like what do you consider a variety shop?
Like t-shirts,
Okay.
doormats, games,
Okay.
buttons, just stuff like that. Lapel, I mean, all kinds of stuff like that. But and we're going to try to start getting some like local artists to bring in some of their work to sell in the variety.
We do that. If you live in my area and you art authors or anything like that, we let you hang your stuff on the wall and we'll sell it for you, and we only take 10%. And most of the time, 3% of it's usually credit card fee. It's like we take minimal profits. And if you're a local author, you can bring in your books. We take $1 just to cover our credit card fees as a courtesy. It's good to do that kind of stuff in your community. Yeah, but dude, I mean, I joke now after giving a whole story about don't do it.
It's not.
It's good luck to you. Like, how are you doing? If you don't mind my asking.
We're keeping the doors open, and we've only been open for 4 or 5 months now, and I think that's a measure of success. Hey,
listen, I'm going to tell you a quick story.
Yeah.
Because I've already lost interest in your story. Yeah. So no, I'm kidding. I'm sorry. I only make jokes I know that you can handle. Like I wouldn't say that anywhere else.
That was good.
I'll tell you a great story that was told to me. So I don't own this story by any stretch. A good friend of mine, and it's actually in the episode of A Toy Store Near You, season 5, episode 1, available on Amazon Prime. A good buddy of mine, he's an unbelievably successful dentist. This guy is, I mean, when I tell you the amount of success this guy has is hard to fathom. And the best way I can say it is if you go to a certain hospital, a teaching hospital in the Bronx, there's a 20-foot banner of him hanging off the side of it. Like he's that established. And I opened the shop one day. I opened up the shop, and one day I did $1 in sales. Right before the store closed, a kid walked in with $1 and asked me, do I have anything for $1? And I had a box of just crap, McDonald's toys or whatever. And I was like, you know what? Just take any 2 things you want for $1. And it was $1.08, so he didn't have 8 cents for tax. So I'm like, I'll put in the 8 cents. And, I ended my day with $1 in sales. And I was pretty banged up. At that point, the store was still relatively new. And when I quit Sprint, I was making a shocking amount of money. Like if I honestly told you what I made, you would think there's no way a guy selling things for Sprint could possibly make that much money. But I quit because I hated my new boss. And if you've never heard this story, I quit my job November 1st, 2017. I opened the toy store November 27th of 2017. 27 days from quit to open.
Wow.
And I told my wife, give me 1 year. And if this doesn't work, I will find another job. We had enough money saved up where 1 year wouldn't hurt us terribly. It would sting, but it wouldn't affect us. And my wife had a lot of faith in me. And to this day, I owe her for that. And she's like, I know you'll be successful. She's like, that's just kind of your way. You don't fail at things like this. I fail at other things plenty, but at business, I tend to do well. So anywho, I'm sitting there and I'm like, I just made $1 today. And if I had stayed at Sprint, I would have made blank dollars. And I was driving home and I called this guy up because I was helping him with some Star Wars stuff. And I told him the story. I'm like, dude, I hope I didn't just screw my family. And he's like, what happened? I'm like, I did $1 today, man. I'm like, this ain't a good feeling. And he's got a very, his voice is very soothing. And he's like, Johnpaul, let me tell you something. He goes, when I opened my practice, he goes, I remember a day where all I did was clean my bathrooms. I go, what do you mean? He's like, the whole day. Because I had a sign outside that said walk-ins welcome, and nobody came in From the minute I opened till closed, I never saw a person. And all I did that day was go to my 2 bathrooms and I cleaned them from top to bottom. And he's like, but when I left, I said to myself, I accomplished something today because the bathrooms look fantastic. And that was it. And he's like, I have to go. I'll talk to you later. I'm like, all right, dude, I'll talk to you. And like, I drove home. You ever have somebody tell you something that like when it lands, you're just like, jeez. Drove home the rest of the way, got to my house, and it was exactly what I needed to hear, because that was the guy that I would use as an example of massive success. And he basically told me he spent a day cleaning toilets with no disappointment in his voice. He wasn't mad, wasn't angry at the world. He wasn't second guessing his abilities. That's what I did that day. So that day on my calendar, in this long history of my life, that was the day I made my bathrooms look better than they did when the day started. And I was like, dude, like that guy, like I told him years later, I'm like, that might have been like, if I didn't hear that day, I'm not sure where like my path, like I'm not really sure if I wouldn't have come in the next day as determined as I was to just brush off a bad day. Mm-hmm. And it was like the best thing. So the reason that story exists is because whether Johnny, since we go back so far, like if you've had days like that, or if you have a day like that, try to remember that story, because it will make the rest of your day so much better that you'll feel really good that you did so like that. Success in a business isn't just how many transactions you made that day. You're playing a very long game.
Right.
And, it's going to, Babe Ruth goes 0 for 4 a couple of times in his life, right? Nobody's ever, not every day is a home run. Yeah, right. But yeah. So anyway, but I guess that's my speech to you on that. But good. I mean, I hope you're doing well.
Yeah.
And if you've had any days like that, they are few and far between. Keep your head up. And if you ever want any kind of advice or business, like you want to bounce ideas, please reach out to me. Like I'm happy to share. Like I do this with other shops. Like I have a small group, and we'll always like, hey, is this a idea? Like, we talk to each other, we bounce ideas off of each other. So, if I can ever help you in any way, please don't hesitate to reach out to me.
Definitely. I definitely will. And, we have had some lean days, but the most important thing is, like I said before, we're keeping the doors open. We're not making a huge profit right now, but we are able to get collections in. If somebody walks in the door,
that's the key.
I don't have to turn them away,
No.
And
let me tell you something. Oh, no, finish. I'm sorry.
I did turn away somebody Saturday, but that's because they had garbage. But
but I have all the Beanie Babies. Look, they're tabs. No, let me tell you. At the end of when all the best part about this job is how you're going to learn like the cadence that works best for you. You're going to learn the philosophies of what works best for you interacting with people, but it's not a complicated business. You pay people a fair price for their stuff. You're personable. Try to remember names as best you can, and just be yourself. Like with as much as I can say this to be truthful but not sound arrogant, I really do think a big part of my store's success is me and how I interact while I'm in it. And that doesn't mean me. I mean, when it's in your store, it'll be you. When anyone's in their store, people like people, and they like gravitating towards people who enjoy what they do. And they have a fun time while they're within the confines of your store. And I found that most of my success in the early days, where I wasn't maybe making a ton of money, I was definitely laying foundational work that paid off somewhere, later on. My early times where like I didn't have a ton of money to kind of spend willy-nilly, I came up with different ways to get people to give me collections. Hey, why don't we try a consignment? Let's write down everything you have. I think you have $3,000 worth of stuff here. How about I start selling it for you, and every time I've sold $700 worth of stuff, I'm going to give you 500 and I'll pay you off as it goes. I had Google Sheets that they could log in and look at how much of their stuff has been sold. And while I was building cash flow, I was getting merchandise because people were like, they could just go to their Google Sheet. And if it's something sold, I wrote down sold. I put a small macro formula that divided it 80-20. It's like, I didn't have to do any work. Sold for $50, 50. I knew what I owed them and they could log in and look at it through Google Sheets. And I was managing to build up that trust in the community. And then once I kind of got bigger and the collection started getting bigger, I was ready for it because I had already kind of established the capital that I needed. And I run the business. Some people might say it's unorthodox. I run it the same way I run my house. I don't buy stuff I can't afford. I don't spend money I don't have. And that has actually been a very good way. I don't overextend, and I don't have any. The store has no debt. That is your key. If you have debt right now, do everything you can to go into the black. Yeah. I went into the black in my 9th month by doing very lean pay for myself and basically not over-indexing on anything. I didn't spend $1,000 to buy a doormat with my name on it. Do you know that was my 5-year anniversary gift to myself? Was a $200 format that says Imperial Castle. Yeah. Like I didn't buy bags that had maybe. I bought brown bags and I bought Avery labels and printed out Imperial Castle on them. Like I ran frugally because I needed to get net positive quick. Because once you don't owe anybody, you are in a whole new stratosphere. There's nothing better for you than being able to buy with house money. So like even if you make a bad decision, you don't have to really reconcile with anyone but mentally with yourself. So like that's the kind of stuff. Like you'll pick it up. If you don't know it already, you'll start learning it as you go. But yeah, I wish you all the success in the world, man. That's fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah.
If you open up in New York, I will crush you.
We're in Northwest Georgia. We're in Northwest Georgia.
Yeah, that's you're close enough. Let's just
don't come any closer.
Yeah. If I see you open up a satellite in Delaware, I'm gonna destroy it.
Yeah,
I have to.
Like you said, the personality part of it. I make friends easily, and Jennifer also does. We've had customers come in with, personal problems, personal issues, whatever. And she takes them back to the back.
Oh, God.
And talks to them.
Nope. Take the high road on that. I can see everyone's eyes being like, what can I say about that?
I think it's true. I think there's
a lot of truth to that. Yeah. You become a psychologist. Dude, I have done everything from I have an unbelievable knowledge of people's sex lives, which is weird. Like, I never went to Home Depot. I never went to, Home Depot and was like, hey, look, I need a flange. I need, a number two drill bit. And let me tell you, so my wife does this thing when I'm in bed. I'm like, what? I've never started a conversation like that. Why do people tell me? It's weird.
Maybe they think you're a different kind of toy store.
Yeah. See the beaded curtain in the back? You walk through that. I've wrapped up sprained ankles. I kid you not. I've wrapped sprained ankles. I diagnosed a kid with cradle cap. I've recommended cardiologists, and I have helped people through divorces, grieving. I have married a couple, and I have 3 more weddings that people who've met me through the toy store think it's hysterical that a guy who runs a toy store can marry them.
You sound like
none of this was in my life's plan.
You sound like one of the captains on one of those crabbing boats where you're out in the middle of nowhere and you have to be the guy who does everything.
It's like, no. The guy in Imperial Gunnery, the guy that does the Imperial Gunnery, he's going to marry us. It's a big deal.
I just did a wrestling one, and I themed them. So I had to write a 10-minute sermon with subtle wrestling stuff built into it because her family was very religious and didn't really like the idea. Like his family thought it was hysterical. So I get a phone call and they're like, look, I wrote this hysterical, funny wedding. And I get a phone call. It's like, yo, John. I'm like, yeah. He's like, listen, we got a problem. I'm like, what's up? The wedding? Yeah. You got to play it straight, dude. Like, what do you mean I got put? He goes, yeah, like you can't make this like a joke. Like our family wants a real wedding. And I'm like, dude, you realize you picked like the last guy in the world to do a real legit wedding, right? Like I'm an idiot. Like you guys say 5 idiots. I call myself a shaved ape. I'm like, dude, like I'm a shaved ape. Like, what are you? So I had to write this, but I'm like, I'm still throwing like I put a lot of effort into some of these jokes. So they allowed me 6 wrestling jokes in the entire wedding. So I wrote this whole wedding that had the wrestling, and I'm in the middle of doing a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles one. I got a Transformers theme, and I'll have a G.I. Joe themed wedding.
Do you still have the original?
Like, these are the
wrestling?
kind of things that you never think of.
Do you still have the original wrestling sermon? Because I think Chris would like to maybe get remarried this summer. He's a huge
I will marry you without. First of all, it was brilliant. Like part of the wedding vows was not being the lonely Virgil to each other. And I did this great analogy that like you would think that wrestling you would use the heart foundation because of the word heart, but it's really the part about foundation that's important. Oh my God, it was friggin' outstanding. I got like claps, like like the grandmother loved me. It was great. It was a lot of fun. If you decide to get remarried, I will marry you and use the same sermon. I'll just change the name for it.
All right. Very good. Very good. So again, to everybody who's watching, thank you very much for Johnpaul being here. Definitely visit his website, imperialcastletoyshop.com. And of course, imperialgunnery.com. Is it .com? Is that right?
Yes.
I have it saved.
On
so
both.
I just go to the bookmark, but check out Imperial Gunnery if you haven't. If you're a vintage Star Wars collector, I'm sure you already know the website, but definitely visit there. If not, I have we're wrapping up here. I have 2 quick hitter for you, quick hitters for you. If you can think of a quick answer. What is the worst thing that you ever brought into your shop? Bought or brought into the shop, and what is the best purchase or collection or collectible that you've brought in? Can you think of anything?
Well, I brought a USS Defiant into the store that when I opened it, enough rat feces fell out that I'm pretty sure that the rats from the Nutcracker suite that are like the size of a human were living in there. I had to close the store. I had to tell the guy to get it out. Like, you can't have this in here. And then we had to mop our floors like Clorox. Like, it was pretty disgusting. And I don't have that was the worst part. The Defiant was freaking sweet. I was so mad. Like, I'm like, it looked great. And he had the box. I'm like, this is awesome. And then turns the box over, just feces. Ugh. Just lots of feces. Yeah. So that might be the worst thing that's ever waltzed in here. I don't have a best. Like, way too much cool. Like, stuff I never thought I would see.
Is there anything?
A couple.
Okay, go ahead. I was going to say, is there anything that you felt like I have to keep this? It's so cool, so rare. I'll never see it again. I got to keep this.
You know what? You're going to laugh. No.
Okay.
Really haven't. I've been really good about it. But I've had some of my favorites where somebody came in with the actual reels from the Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones, like 8 reels in a 60-pound industrial box. So I play them on, was it 80 millimeter? I think is the widescreens. So like he came in with 2 70-pound dumbbell-sized boxes with 7 reels of film for each movie. I was like, dude, like that's awesome. He worked for a theater that went defunct, and he just walked out with them. He took them. Oh, but I had that. I've had 7 USS flags, which is pretty cool. I never thought I didn't see one until I was 45. I had a guy walk in with a box of Hostess plastic goods that was like a salesman sample that he would take to like food conventions that just had like a fake Twinkie and a fake cupcake. And it was in like this like box, like a professional luggage to show fake Hostess food.
John loves
that was an interesting one.
Oh, John loves Hostess. Oh my God.
Well, you know who bought it?
Actually.
Have you guys watched the Toys That Made Us series?
Yeah, for sure.
So the creator of that, Brian Volk Weiss, bought it. So he has it if you want to try to get it from him.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, and then we've had the first Hulk, first Iron Man, first Spider-Man have walked in here. Like vinyl Cape Jawas, blue snaggletooth, like all the rarer. Guy walked in with a Power of the Force carded collection. Guy walked in with 600 GI Joes. He literally had every GI Joe made from 1982 to 1994. Like literally every single one, all complete in bags.
Wow. What about a painted legs Maydeen? Have you had several of those?
Only if he's got his super action toilet brush cleaner, which is the best accessory ever created by Kenner. Good for them.
All right.
That, and they should have made his beard fake to match the guy. Like that would have been like a great. I'm amazed no one's ever kind of like taken a step and made like a worse bearded Maydeen or something.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you so much for hanging with us, being generous with your time. We logged some good time with you here.
Yeah.
And if for anybody who's out there, if you're a collector, if you're a Star Wars collector, but beyond that, if you're a collector of any other toys or collectibles in general, check John out and go find him on Whatnot. He sells on Facebook as well, he said. But the Whatnot shows are super. I caught you last time in the middle of an afternoon. We're not talking about 7 o'clock at night. It was like 2 p.m. and you were in the middle of your regular store hours having a ball. So check his sales out. He knows his stuff. Now, that seems obvious to say because you're in a toy store and you do this every day. I'm telling you, there's plenty of toy shop owners out there who have a cabinet of this, a cabinet of that. And when you ask a question, they're like, they have no idea what it even is or what it does or what year it was from. I mean, I could tell when you talk about your stuff, and you keep your finger on the pulse of what's the current price level in the hobby, what's hot, what's not. So check out the sales. If nothing else, they're just fun to watch.
Thank you. That's high praise.
All right. Well, we appreciate you being here. Always a pleasure to have on a fellow collector and somebody who's passionate about the vintage stuff and can share their knowledge with the hobby. We appreciate all the work you do.
Oh, I'm happy to. Yeah, this was fun. I had a good time.
Thank you, John.
When I come
John.
and visit you at some point, we'll jump on and we'll do a little. I'll do a little tour of the shop or something, or we'll have a little fun.
Yeah.
All right.
I
Very
will
good.
treat you like if you come here, I'll treat you like a king.
All right. Very good.
All right.
All right, guys. Thanks very much for hanging. Another fun episode. For everybody who's watching, please visit 5idiotstalkingtoys.com for all of our links, our socials, our merch shop. And you can also get to Rogue 5 Toys, which is our sales page. And there's lots of collectibles and live sales and graded items and all kinds of stuff we have fun with there. Thanks very much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel and comment. Let us know what your favorite part of the interview was. And we will see you next time on 5 Idiots Talking Toys. Bye.
Later.
Thanks for having me, Shane.
Bye.
Thanks for being here.
Bye.
Chris,
Thanks,
sign
Shane.
us off.
Thanks,
Sign us
Shane.
off.
Goodbye.
Sign us off.
Off.
Thank you.